Hello everyone. This video is going to be about the racial injustice in the criminal legal system. Racial discrimination has been ingrained in the criminal legal system from its earliest days, and it persists to this day. While Black History Month is a time to celebrate the progress that has been made and to honor those who fought for equal rights for Black people in the United States, it's also an occasion to reflect on how far we have gone. But I do not feel like we need to have just 1 month for that. People are not seasons. All people have a right to have their history told, and we as society need to have time for learning and growth. And of course, my dog is going to start in. It never fails. I think he always knows when I get this phone out to record. But anyway, Black History Month is February 1st to March 1st. But every month should be used to its fullest to learn the history of those around us. The legacy of slavery, the racist Jim Crow laws, and hateful lynchings has translated into modern-day mass incarceration and the disproportionate imprisonment of Black people. Nowhere is that seen more clearly than in prisons like in Mississippi State Penitentiary, also known as Parchman Farm, and Louisiana's Angola Prison, which were both built on and modeled after slave plantations, and where several of the clients from the Innocence Project have been incarcerated. If you're not familiar with the Innocence Project, I suggest you look that up. They do a lot of good. They really do. They are determined to set a whole bunch of things straight with the injustices in the world. Racial discrimination and bias has been ingrained in the criminal, legal, and law enforcement system from its earliest days and continues to pervade every level of the system today. The Innocence Project is committed to addressing all of these injustices. The 8 statistics that I'm about to go over highlight the ways in which racial inequality persists in the criminal legal system today and how it contributes to wrongful convictions. Number 1, more than half of the death row exonerees are Black. Of the 185 people exonerated from death row since 1973, about 53% are Black, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. Historically, the death penalty has been disproportionately applied to Black people in the U.S., and they are still overrepresented on death row. Today, the states that sentence the most people to death are those that once carried out the most lynchings. Number 2, nearly half the people currently on death row are Black. In 2020, about 42% of the people on death row were Black, including a couple of them from the Innocence Project, Rodney Reed and Purvis Payne, though Black people make up just 13% of the U.S. population in total. 42% of a population that equals 13% of total. The death penalty is more likely to be used in cases in which a white person is killed. People convicted of killing white people are executed at 19 times the rate of those convicted of killing Black people. Both Mr. Reed and Mr. Payne were convicted of killing white women in the South. Since 1976, when the death penalty was reinstated after a 4-year suspension, nearly 300 Black people accused of murdering white people have been executed, compared to 21 white people accused of murdering Black people. That's once again according to the Death Penalty Information Center. Number 3. Half of the 2,947 people exonerated since 1989 are black. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, 1,471 black people have been exonerated since 1989. While these people have since regained their freedom, collectively, more than 15,000 years of freedom was stolen from them. Number 4. Innocent black people are 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder than innocent white people. In particular, black people are more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder when the victim is white. Among black people exonerated for murder convictions, approximately 31% were wrongfully convicted of killing white people, though just 15% of the homicides by black people involved white victims. That comes from the National Registry of Exonerations reported. 5. It takes longer to exonerate an innocent black person. Innocent black people on death row spend an average of 13.8 years wrongfully imprisoned before being exonerated, about 45% longer than innocent white people. This racial disparity as time spent wrongfully incarcerated holds true across different types of convictions. Black people tend to receive harsher sentences when accused of sexual assault and have a harder time being exonerated from a wrongful conviction. On average, they spend 4.5 more years in prison than their white counterpart before being exonerated. Black people wrongfully convicted of murder spend an average of 3 more years in prison than white people, 4 if they are on death row. Innocent black people spend an average of 16 years on death row before they are exonerated. 6. Police misconduct occurred in more than half of all wrongful murder conviction cases involving innocent black people. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, cases of black people exonerated from wrongful murder convictions were 22% more likely to involve police misconduct than similar cases involving white defendants. In Illinois, for example, under former Chicago Police Commander John Burge, police psychologically abused and physically tortured more than 100 black men and women until many of them falsely confessed to crimes that they did not commit. Several people wrongfully convicted by Mr. Burge and his officers, including some of the ones that the Innocent Project has taken on, like Kevin Bailey, have since been exonerated. But racial discrimination can play a role in a wrongful conviction case before it even makes it into a courtroom. Racial biases everyday police encounters can often lead to wrongful convictions or even a death. Number 7. About 1/3 of unarmed people killed by police are black. Of the more than 149 unarmed people killed by the police in 2017, 49 were black, according to Mapping Police Violence. Despite thousands of police shootings since 2005, only 110 officers who shot a person while on duty have been charged with murder or manslaughter. 538 reported, and less than half of them were convicted. Too often, officers who use excessive force or engage in misconduct return to their jobs without consequences. This lack of accountability can lead to wrongful convictions. Philadelphia police shot one of the Innocent Project clients, Tremaine Hicks, in the back 3 times in 2001. assuming that he was attacking a woman he was actually helping. Officers then covered up their mistakes, and Mr. Hicks spent 19 years in prison for a crime he did not commit, while the officers, who went on to be the subjects of numerous allegations of lying, planting evidence, excessive force, and substantiated complaints filed by civilians, returned to their jobs. At the Innocent Project, they are advocating for police disciplinary records, which are currently confidential in about half of the states, to be made public to increase police transparency and accountability. Number 8. Black people are more likely to be stopped and searched. Studies have shown that Black people, Latinx people, and communities of color are more likely to be stopped, searched, and suspected of a crime, even when no crime has occurred. Data shows that when Black drivers are stopped, they are more likely to be searched, but contraband is less likely to be found. Yes, you heard that right. Black drivers are more likely to be searched, even though less likely to have contraband. Racial bias in policing contributes to the wrongful incarcerations and convictions of innocent Black people and is also seen in arrest quotas. The use of surveillance technologies like facial recognition software to identify suspects, predictive policing tools, and gang databases. Research also shows that strong unconscious racial biases associating Black people with criminality persist. In an investigation, these biases could result in officers locking in on a suspect who conforms to the stereotypes and assumptions they hold, instead of conducting a comprehensive investigation into all potential suspects. This often becomes the first step towards a wrongful conviction. That is just a little bit on this topic. This topic goes on and on and on. There are so many wrongful convictions out there, and the majority of them are just based on somebody being a racist. Everybody knows that this channel does not stand for anything, race related or bashing for religion or anything like that. So this is one of the topics that has come up quite a bit, but I started looking into the racial injustice with the criminal legal system because of a conversation I was having with one of my subscribers. We was texting and she just mentioned it. She said that her brother had been arrested, and that after 3 months of sitting in county jail, somebody else that had been arrested confessed to the crime that they were no longer even pursuing. He randomly confessed to it, I guess to get a lighter sentence or something on whatever else it was that he had been arrested for. So they ended up having to let her brother out. But I look around and I see this. This is something that continually goes on. I've done a lot of translating in court, so I'm around communities of color just in general. My children are Hispanic. My stepmom, which I only view as a mom, is African American. My stepdad was full-blood Chickasaw. I have grown up around different races, different religions, different everything. So things like this are always a touchy topic to me. It really is. And I stand with everybody that has been on the opposite side of the law, trying to prove their innocence. And when it becomes racially motivated to keep somebody behind bars, we should all stand strong and hold the police and the whole criminal legal system up to higher standards. We need to prove, or we need them to prove to us that they are doing what is right. They should not be getting by with this. This should not even be a thing. Obviously, it is a thing. And it's a sad thing. As a community, we can hold our officers and stuff more accountable, our judges more accountable. You know, we can have our lawyers do a better job in representing people. And if it means that we stand outside of a courtroom with little cardboard signs demanding that people get a fair trial, then that is something that we should do. We should all do it. We don't have to be a certain color to stand with people of that color. We don't have to be a certain religion to stand up for that religion to have their rights given to them. You know, we don't have to identify a certain way to stand in a line so that somebody else who identifies a different way can have the rights that they deserve. It's called being an unlikely ally. It throws people off their game when they see different communities coming together to stand with one community. And there is strength in numbers. But in cases like this, there is also strength in colors. There is strength in genders. There is strength in so many things that we can come together and correct. Because not saying something is also a form of violence. So if you see it, say it. If you have not checked out the Innocent Project, that's something that you should really look into. They do take donations and stuff. But if you know of a case that needs to be looked into, contact them. They are backlogged by a lot, so it may take a little bit of time for them to get to a new case. But if there's hope for a case, then they are on it. And it does not matter what color a person is. Stand strong for the person that is being attacked. Stand strong for that community. Because you never know when you're going to need those people to stand strong for you and something that you're fighting, something that you're battling. This is a never-ending situation, but together we can make a difference and we can hold the legal system accountable. If you've ever had any issues or anything with the law due to them being a racist, please comment below and let your story be seen. Don't stay silent about what happened, because silence is violence. Have a good night and stay safe, everybody.